Good morning everyone, we're up bright and early this morning. It's about 5:30 a.m. We've made our way down to the beach to see the kangaroos that Cape Hillsborough is famous for. And look what we've found. We've come down and there's two beautiful great big eastern grey kangaroos, and right behind them we've got about 5, I think it is, or 6 maybe, agile wallabies just hanging around on the beach eating. How cool is this? Bucket list item. So they come down to the beach to eat the mangrove seed pods, and they do this to supplement their diet because the natural grasses that grow around the area don't quite have enough nutrients for them. So there are a couple of other things that you should know about coming down to the beach to look at the kangaroos. Firstly, that national parks representatives are down there and they're doing 2 things. One is they are feeding the kangaroos some nutrient-rich pellets that have been specifically designed for them to keep them nice and healthy. And the other is that they are there to keep people away from the kangaroos and stop them having physical contact with them. They are quite sensitive and they can become aggressive if they feel threatened, so it is best to keep your distance. Anyway, I think it's time to leave them in peace now and maybe go and try and catch that sunrise. Please consider hitting the subscription or the like button, and if you do like our style and would like to see more from us, then hit that notification bell so you can find out whenever we put out new footage. Highly recommend going to Cape Hillsborough. The scenery is absolutely spectacular and you can't put a price on the experience of being down on the beach with the kangaroos. Just brilliant. guess it's time to head back to the car, pack everything away and move on to our next destination. But before we settle into driving along the highway, we're just going to stop off and go for a walk, stretch our legs at the Diversity Boardwalk. It's 1.2k return and takes about 40 minutes.
This is a mangrove walk just on the south side of Cape Hillsborough. We bypassed it last time because of the heat and the sandflies, but it's really worth stopping and going for a wander. Moves through the mangroves, up through a couple of sort of ecotones, up on top of the hill, and then back down in through the mangroves again. Give it a burl if you're up this way.
Time to get lost in nature. How cool's this? It's a stilted root mangrove. We're even lucky enough to see a straighted heron, otherwise known as the mangrove heron, sitting here just waiting for some food. This is a midden, and you see it along the walk. It's a place where the Aboriginal people collected shellfish from the mangroves, roasted them over an open fire, and then discarded the shells. And now, after that thoroughly enjoyable walk, we're all back in the car and on our way to Townsville.
Alright, we've just left Cape Hillsborough with a short stop for the mangrove walk along the way, grabbed some fuel, and now we're on our way up to Townsville. I have to say, last time we were in Cape Hillsborough, we didn't enjoy it as much as we did this time. Now, that was probably because we were up there in January. It was stinking hot, full of sandflies, humid as you'd expect. And this time we're there in June, much more pleasant. And we really enjoyed it. In fact, we could have spent a couple of days there and done a couple of walks around the show. Yep, kangaroos were there in the morning. Pretty hard to get a photo of them or anything because they sort of disappear before the sun really comes up. But they're out there chewing away on the mangrove seeds apparently, which is where they get their extra nutrients and the reason why they're sitting down on the beach in that area. The one thing we did do when we came up here in January, which we didn't do this time, was hook it up to Eugella National Park. Now, Eugella National Park is famous because that's where you can go up there and see platypus. And while there's platypus all up and down the coast, they are very, very difficult to see, and that is absolutely not the case up at Eugella National Park. In fact, you're virtually guaranteed of seeing them. We stayed one night up there and that was about all you needed to do. I can't see any reason why you'd stay a couple of nights. The national park up there is not very big. It's really just a small section cordoned off specifically for the platypus. We'll throw some footage up of those platypus so you can see. It's not great footage, but you can see they're definitely there. Anyway, we'll continue off to Townsville. The price of fuel is not particularly pleasant at the moment, about $2.30 a litre of diesel, and we're going to blame Putin for that, but such is life. We'll see what else we can see on the way to Townsville. Catch you later.
So we've been in the car for 2 hours and we've decided it's time to stop and go for a walk and stretch our legs and maybe look for somewhere to have some lunch. And we've come across this place in Hideaway Bay. It's a 2.3 kilometre walk and it takes about 38 minutes to complete. And you start off down at the car park and then walk your way up to the top where you've got a spectacular lookout. And once you get up there, you can actually look out across the Whitsundays and see Hook Island, which is right here in front of us now.
Righto, Bowen. We made the mistake thinking that we could just whip in there to the bakery and get a meat pie. Sunday lunchtime, the week before school holidays. In fact, all of those kids who finished their exams could already be on school holidays, just like Josh back there. And all the bakeries are shut. We thought about hot chicken from Woolworths. Woolworths is shut. There were two things open. The, what do they call it, Hideaway Bay Cafe or something like that, where they wanted $27 for a hamburger. And we weren't going to spend $75 for lunch there. If I was in the looking for a sea change, I'd probably be up here selling $15 meat pies, because that'd be a bargain compared to the hamburgers. But all that aside, I quite like Bowen. I could do Bowen. Looks like some good fishing out there, boating. Not quite sure why the town hasn't taken off. I think they need to get a bit of infrastructure in there. If they had ferries running across to the reef and to the Whitsundays, and they had the airport running, and maybe somewhere where you could actually buy some food and eat, then that'd be a really good spot. If it was on the coast of northern New South Wales, then it would have about 45,000 tourists in it, and the block of land would cost you 1.3 million. But it's not. It's actually a long way from nowhere. But, as I said, quite like the place. Anyway, a couple more hours and we will hit Townsville.
Another thing to keep your eye out for as you're travelling along is these diesel trains pulling the freight behind them. Sometimes the length of the entire train can be kilometres long, but this one was relatively short, really. Everyone, we've got a quick recommendation for a bit of a travel snack when you're on those long stretches of road. We choose to make jerky, beef jerky, and we like a lot of chilli on it. So we make it probably a couple of days before we're ready to go, so we've got the longest life out of the jerky that we can get. Our recipe's a little bit varied, just depends on what we're feeling like on the day, but most of the time it's got a base of chili, coriander, a little bit of cumin, some Worcestershire sauce, some soy sauce, and a few other things. Anyway, we'll link up a recipe for what we tend to use. So you'd need to do it in a dehydrator, relatively cheap to get. Otherwise you can use an oven, but that might take you the day or two before you leave to complete that task. Anyway, I'm just going to give my piece of jerky a bit of a try now. Delicious. We've almost made it to Townsville. We can tell because we can see Castle Hill in front of us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and like or notification bell so that you know exactly when we put out our next bit of content. Just crossing the Rooney Bridge over the Ross River. Made it in time for sunset. See you all next week when we leave Townsville and head towards Mission Beach.